Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Robotics Notes Elite. In the last episode, Kaito began his search for report number 6 in earnest, and after looking around for a bit on the island, came to a place that he'd only ever visited just recently, which is Otatsu Metatsu Rocks, which just so happened to contain the elusive report number 6. As usual, it contained information relating to some of the more subtle, insidious conspiracies that the Committee of 300 is employing through the Tavistock Institute. But at the end of the report was a kind of last will and testament of Kou Kimijima, thanking the reader for finding all the reports and mentioning the fact that the key lies with the 7th report, but that by finding the 7th report, the IRU program will distribute the information of the previous 6 reports to everyone with that program. The good news is, with regards to report number 7, there are no unlock flags other than obtaining the previous reports. The bad news is that without said flags, we can't really pinpoint where report number 7 is. The only lead we have is the pattern from the previous flag location points, or the report location points, which seem to correspond with local sightseeing areas on Tanegashima Island. So we're pretty much going to have to go through as many remaining ones as we can to find that elusive 7th power mark. And then, of course, there is the catch that once we do, we'll initiate war on behalf of Kou Kimijima against the Committee of 300 themselves. Because the wheels certain wheels have already been set in motion, but we'll be setting some new wheels once we unleash the power of that 7th report. But on a separate matter, we still haven't found a way to prevent Airi from potentially being erased with the upcoming IRU update on Christmas Eve, December 24th. But oddly enough, Airi feels a certain homesickness of sorts, which is news to Kaito, which is why we are heading to the house that Kou Kimijima, Airi, and also one other person resided, that person being Misaki Tsunomiya. The threads are all starting to connect at long last. Midway we come to an unpaved mountain road, so we'll take a breather and look at some precious Twipo notifications. Entangle. Yeah, we really need to keep this moving. Shaking my head. Shouldn't it be fried chicken for Christmas? That's literal common sense. Problem is, there aren't any stores on the island. Oh well, Christmas is cancelled. If only. Yeah. Well, no, not if only. Well, I was annoyed that there's no fried chicken on the island. Boo to that. To tell the truth, twice a month they travelled from Kagoshima to sell it here, but due to the solar storm in August, they've been holding it off. My thoughts, never to be erased. Indeed. Normally should all go die, sounding very much like Neidhart and Dash there, Frau. Taking a walk is fun. I hope I can get home. Well, that's why we're here. Hello from Space Candy. How about some space candy with your cake and champagne for Christmas? You can get the special Christmas version at the B Coop inside Kagoshima now. Sumio with the sales pitch there. Nothing in the news and nothing with Neidhart or Dash. Alright, that's enough of a break. Is Kou Kimijima's house really past here? I can't trust Airi because she's bugging out. And yet we have no choice but to rely on her. That said, she shows no hesitation in her step. It's been nearly 2 hours of walking now. If the punchline after all this is, I took the wrong road, I might actually die. Literally. But I don't think we have to worry about that. Achievement unlocked Robo Club Activity Journal number 2. And there is Airi. Looking very happy as she skips along the road. I think she knows exactly where she's headed, Kaito. No two ways about it. And she still seems happy as she recites the weather report. The weather tomorrow will be clear as well. Airi repeats the weather forecast out loud innocently. I've heard it a grand total of 10 times since we started walking. Hell, I even have it memorized now. I make a good weather forecast person, Kaito. That's right. Clear weather tonight through tomorrow with a 0% chance of precipitation. Doesn't look like it'll be snowing. Oh well. No matter how many times you check the weather, it won't suddenly turn from a clear day to a snowy one. And even if it did somehow snow tomorrow, making it a bright white Christmas, Airi would never be able to see it herself. One way or another. I think we've arrived, Kaito. Wasn't expecting a red carpet, that's for sure. After walking along an awful mountain road, we finally come across some ruins. Ruins indeed. Not surprising that this place is the way that it is. The house stands alone in the woods, likely abandoned 10 years years ago or so. I guess the forest is reclaiming it. Far from the prying eyes of the committee then. For now, at least. The surrounding area is covered in trees and weeds, making it hard to even reach the entrance. The windows are broken, and there are plants and vines growing all over the walls.
こりゃ完全に廃墟だね。
You said it, Kaito. With Kou Kimijima dead, there's probably nobody left to maintain the place.
それにしてもこんな山奥に一人で住んでたわけ？
Not completely alone, Kaito.
まるで仙人だな。ちなみに愛梨ちゃん、君島コウが殺された場所ってここだったりする？
I almost had a slightly different thought. Even if we go inside, well, once we go inside, because of the way that Airi functions, she won't be able to see the interior of the house that she's in.
違いますよ。
Well, he wasn't murdered at his own home. I think we could breathe a sigh of relief on that one. I'm relieved to hear that. Honestly, don't have the guts to set foot into a place where a person was killed, and of course, if the Committee of 300 were watching this place, we would be in serious trouble. I wonder if I witnessed it.
ほんで、ここに帰ってきて何をするつもり？
Airi's being evasive.
消えるまでここで過ごそうと思います。
She says with a smile. So she's aware of what awaits tomorrow. She's aware, Kaito.
そう。
I figured she was acting strange because of a bug, but it looks like she has some awareness that today might be her last. She's seeming more and more human. About that, Kaito. If this is part of her programming, Kou Kimijima really was brilliant.
で、ちょっと待った。
Yeah, it took you long enough, Kaito.
消えるまでここにいるなら俺も付き合わなくちゃいけないじゃないか。
Pretty much.
はい、一緒に天気予報をチェックしましょう。
マジか。
So it is, Kaito. Airi's last wish. Doesn't even take 10 minutes to check the weather report for every region of Japan. The IRU maintenance starts at midnight. We have over half a day left. Is she actually asking me to stick around on this stupidly cold winter day? That she is.
俺のポケコンにダウンロードした君島レポートさ、どれか一つでもここに置いていけば、愛梨ちゃんはずっとここにいられるでしょ？
それでもいいです。
Of course, that's a workaround. Because she is linked to the Kimijima reports, we just put... But then that would pose a problem. Sort of, well, then again, we've got copies of them anyway, so I guess that kind of works.
お兄ちゃんの好きなようにしてください。
Then again, it would also be abandoning Airi at final moments.
じゃあ
I was just thinking of the fact that if we leave one of the reports behind, we should probably keep all 6 on us when we look for the 7th report. I figured I'd stick the AR annotation here and get going, but you can't do it. That would just be too cruel. And Airi stares into the sky as the wind blows, waiting for it to snow. Airi spacing out, standing around in the overgrown weeds. Lately I see her like this a lot. The expression she's making while staring up at the sky through the tiny gap in the trees, like she's praying. I don't really understand why, but it looks like she could start crying at any moment.
まったくそもそも女の子の見た目をしてるってのも卑怯だよね。
Kou Kimijima knew exactly what he was doing. That he did. Goddamn lolicon. Well, it may be cold, but the time will fly by if I play Kill Ballad. Whatever helps. Though I'm pretty sure it's gonna be creepy at night. Whatever, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, even though Akio and your parents will probably be worried sick about you. More importantly, I should peek inside while it's still bright out. We got a Twipo notification from Airi herself. I'm sure your long sleep will be lonely, but worry not. I'll show you a dream. I'll make it so that you can walk around freely with an IUO, as though it were your garden. With a control device, eh? That might be a bit beyond me. Good night, Sleeping Beauty. You'll escape the hardships, but you'll also leave behind all that joy. You're still young. Is that Airi talking to herself? And we got some more notifications. Pro tip, Robotics Club, at least take Christmas off. Taking breaks every so often helps regenerate your minds and bodies. I have a dinner date with all the female employees tomorrow. Have fun with that night. How very cryptic of you there, Airi. Yes. Yeah. Why the hell if I know? Maybe something was left behind. If I had to guess, I guess I want to know a little more about Kou Kimijima's nature as a person. It's pretty messy in here. Ruined sinks, torn sheets, everything in disarray. How did houses become so unlivable after just a few years? you keep the windows shut tight, shouldn't things stay clean? That's not necessarily how it works, Kaito. One way or another, unless somebody actually takes care of the place, the environment eventually reclaims it.
ちょっとした謎だよね。
On top of all the other mysteries we have to deal with.
は？
Wait. This is... Isn't this the same room as the one in that picture from Gunbarrel's last episode? Could very well be, Kaito. Let me take a few pics. I turn and look all the way around. This room is about 13 square meters in size. It honestly feels nothing like the average living room of a house. If anything, it's sort of like a hospital room, or maybe an isolation cell in a nice prison. That's the conclusion I've come to, considering there's barely any furniture in the room. Not so comfy. The bed is a cheap and plain pipe bed, and there are medicine bottles strewn across the floor. Did Kou Kimijima really live here? According to Airi, he did. I can't even imagine what kind of life he lived.
マスターは仕事以外の時はいつもベッドの上から動きませんでした。
Very odd habits. Airi says cheerfully as she comes strolling into the room.
ベッドの上でご飯を食べて、愛梨とお話しして、本を読んで、そのうち寝ました。
部屋の中なのに認識できるわけ？
この家は特別です。愛梨の生まれた場所なので。
Interesting that she can see inside this place but not others.
あ、と言っても、愛梨の目には、この家は9年前と変わらず、綺麗なままなんですけど。
Oh, that explains it. She's seeing a different world in IUO.
今はどんな風になっていますか？
In other words, she can't see it in its current state.
廃墟になってる。ボロボロだよ。
Completely at opposites.
そうなんですね。
Indeed. I don't think you quite grasp the situation at hand, Airi. Airi seems saddened by this revelation.
君のマスターは仕事もここでしてたわけ？
In fact, I wonder if she's even grasped the reality of Kou Kimijima being murdered, being dead, no longer being able to interact with her in any way, shape, or form.
はい、そうです。
She's still trying to hold on to the memories.
ずっとこの家にこもっていました。
食事ぐらいは買いに出てたんじゃないの？
食事は愛梨が持ってきていました。
いや、無理でしょ。
無理ですか？
だって愛梨ちゃんは実体がないじゃないか。
でも愛梨が持ってきていたんですよ。あと愛梨が生まれてからはたまに美咲も持ってきてくれました。
ミサ姉が
I'd heard that Mizune and Airi were pals. And I know that Mizune and Kou Kimijima had some level of friendship between them. But I still don't know the details of that relationship. Details we need to hear.
ミサ姉と君島公ってどんな話してたんだっけ？
I've asked this question before, but there's no harm in checking again.
美咲は愛梨とたくさんお話ししました。マスターはおしゃべりはあんまり好きじゃなかったです。
Not much of a conversationalist.
マスターと美咲はたまにしか話しませんでした。
Same answer as before. Indeed. Looks like we're going to have to find the answers ourselves.
部屋は他にあるのかな？
This is a combined bedroom and living room. Is it all further in? Past it is a kitchen and bathroom. There's something else curious about the house. There's a square cover of some sort attached to the dirty floor. It has a handle, so I try grabbing and lifting it. I thought it might be an underground storage space. There are stairs, and I'm also surprised that opened much easier than I expected it would. But it's not. Instead, there's a set of stairs leading into a dark abyss.
地下室？
Considering he didn't even try to hide it, it must be a storage basement.
下はマスターの仕事場です。
The heart of his operation, one might say. Airi explains as she appears at the stairs leading underground.
仕事場が地下にあったわけ？かなり暗いけど。
窓も何もないです。電気はつきますよ。
Let's just hope they still work. Who knows if they work now, though?
その方が集中できるってマスターは言ってました。
Away from prying eyes.
ふん。
This workspace, eh? The genius Kou Kimijima. Developer of IUO, creator of Airi, author of the Kimijima reports. This is where he worked.
君島レポートナンバー7の隠し場所について手がかりがあったりしないかな？
さあ、
Yeah, we're still SOL on that one, Kaito. I'm not expecting much. Kou Kimijima was murdered. It's only natural to think that his killers came here and scoured through his basement. If he was the type to slip up and leave a hint, the report would have been buried by the Committee of 300's assassins by now. But hey, I might as well check, just in case. Because why not? I've got time to kill. Plus I might learn something about who Kou Kimijima was as a person.
愛梨ちゃんついてこられる？
All this time we've actually still never seen a photo of the man. I considering how bugged out she is, she's doing pretty okay right now. For now, at least. Riding that momentum, I steel myself and slide my body through the square hole. I use my Pokegom as a flashlight while descending the stairs. I quickly reach the bottom, and it's very dark. I hold up my Pokegom for light. Right in front of me. There's a door. I remember this. No, quiet. I don't remember this. We've seen it before. To be more accurate. I recalled seeing a door that looked much like this before. That's right. On the first floor at the community center in Uchigaoka Park. The electronic lock is the same too. And if that's the case, then this door requires a password. And I doubt it's going to be hidden hand. Which means I try inputting the password. I still remember it clear as day. Hidden hand. Let's see if it works for a second time. Hey, I was wrong. No, it does work. Could another one of those suspicious machines be inside?
Airi-chan, この中入ったことある?
はい、ありますよ。
Airi knows exactly what's in this place.
アイリがいるんです。
Her words go in one ear and right out the other. Not that it ultimately mattered. I think once you go inside, Kaito, once you open that door, it will very much matter. Very much. The moment I open the door, I immediately recognize what's in front of me. There's something in the center of the room. It's slightly tilted and about 2 meters in length. Looks like a coffin. Not entirely out of place analogy there, Kaito. I'm getting a sinking feeling about this room. But I quickly confirm that's not the case. It's too mechanical after all. Plus I can hear a low humming coming from it, kind of like an animal's growl. This has got to be some kind of electronic device. But despite understanding that from a rational perspective, my actual feelings say otherwise. Yet for some reason, when I discover a button on the surface of the coffin, I can't help but reach out to it. The cover of the coffin slowly slides away. Revealed is a glass window, through which I can see the face of a young girl.
Airi?
In the flesh. How very Andromeda, indeed. Not only does Airi have an artificial AR body, but she also has a human body.
アイリちゃん、この中入ったことある?
Airi knows exactly what's in this place.
アイリちゃん、この中入ったことある?
Airi knows exactly what's in this place. アイリ knows exactly what's in this place.
アイリちゃん、この中入ったことある?
technology also does exist in reality. And that would explain the behaviors of Airi recently. Why they were far too human to be the simple workings of an artificial construct. There can't be a person in here, and yet your eyes are telling you otherwise. There she is. Sweet dreams, sleeping beauty indeed. And that begs the question, if something happens to Airi on IUO, if she vanishes, what's going to happen to Airi right in front of us? What is going to happen to her? I refuse to accept that reality. It can't be, but it is. That's why my brain keeps desperately telling me that this is just a coffin. But it's impossible. But it really isn't when you think about it. No matter how much I try to fool myself, it's not working. And even if this was a coffin, hell, especially if it's a coffin, there's no way it'll be left in the basement of a ruined building like this. I leave Airi in your care. He knew. Kou Kimijima knew this whole time. Either way, this room is far from ordinary. Calm down. Take deep breaths. Don't panic. It's just like the room in the community center, but it's not. I've experienced a weird situation like this before. I can get through it again. Believe in yourself. But once again, Kaito, this is different. Very different. I keep repeating to myself over and over again. I once more shift my gaze to the coffin and the girl sleeping inside of it. I can't determine whether she's sleeping or dead. Well, if you look around the apparatus around the room, maybe you'll find something that indicates the state that she's in. And I can't explain why, for a moment, I thought she was Airi. It's because she is, Kaito. There's no color to her face. She's paler than porcelain, but her eyes are shut with a tranquil expression on her face. She has not a scratch on her. If anything, she's actually quite beautiful. It's easy to imagine her opening her eyes and being a proper lovely lady. Before I realize it, I have goosebumps all over my body. I'm shivering from the cold. It's not from my confusion. No, sir. Or maybe part of it is. This room is cold. Like really cold. Like Frau Kujiro cold. It's almost as if cold air is seeping in through the floor. I'm dressed warmly and it's still bugging me. This isn't natural. this room is being artificially cooled. There's electricity in this room. It's like the one in the community center. So who's been fronting the bill? I already know the answer to that question. We do. It's obviously Taiyo Development, the same people who bought the community center and pay for its bill. Maybe Kou Kimijima really did have friends in other places after all.
これはなんだよ。
I think there is somebody who can easily explain it for you, Kaito. Clearly and simply. The basement is filled with even more oddness than in even the community center's room. The coffin-like device is connected to what seems like a giant control unit. There's an old desk and pipe chair. But there's nothing on said desk. However, there is the trace of something that used to be there. Did Kou Kimijima dispose of it himself? Perhaps.
アイリー、これは何なんだ。
I call out to her. My eyes dart around, looking for the AR girl.
アイリー
I can't find her even though she was right behind me a moment ago. Could it be that the construct can't enter this room? I point my Pokécom every which way, desperately looking for a sign of Airi. I see something drift past my screen. Airi had slipped past my side. She leans against the coffin. Then she rubs her cheek against it affectionately.
久々に会えました。
何お
What is she saying?
あのさ、説明してくれると嬉しいんだけど。
Please do.
本当、いちいちこっちの想像の斜め上を行かれると困るっていうか。
Yeah, this is definitely beyond Kaito Yashio's ability to comprehend.
説明してくれ。頼むから。
I can't move. This coffin. It's too terrifying. I'm at a loss. All I can do is seek an answer from Airi. As for her reply,
この子は
I think he can, Airi. He just doesn't want to admit it. This coffin is no coffin.
アイリですよ。
Airi says her own name like it's the most obvious thing in the world. She then adds,
雪船アイリ。アイリのオリジナルです。
Airi Yukifune. The pieces are tumbling back into place. I'll never get well. That's what I was told. My illness isn't life-threatening, but it will torment me for life. That's what the doctors told me. After I was diagnosed, I couldn't go to school anymore. I spent every day of my life in my room before its ruination. It was easy to convince myself that I couldn't do anything about the pain. But it was too much to watch my illness torment Mother and Dad. I felt guilty. I just wanted to disappear. The only real enjoyment I had was watching the next day's weather forecast. Watching and believing that maybe this would be the year I'd witness a miracle, a white Christmas Eve. But no such miracle came. I'm so sorry. Maybe, just maybe, if it could snow on Christmas Eve, eventually my incurable illness could be cured. That's why I would endlessly check the weather forecast all day long, and then I would sigh to myself. Kou Kimijima-san was a strange man who had recently moved in close by. I say close, but he lived about a kilometer into the forest. And there we finally have our look at the man, at least through Airi's memories. Long white hair, a very plain expression. Not really sure what I was expecting there from Kou Kimijima. At first, all we do was exchange a word or two when Kimijima-san walked past my house. But somehow, Kimijima-san learned of my illness and gave me a wonderful present one day. It was the alpha version of IRUO, an app that he was developing at the time. I felt like I was traveling all over the world. I still remember how much fun I had getting to see that wonderful app. After that, on days when I felt okay, I would often go and visit Kimijima-san's house. Kimijima-san didn't take good care of himself, so sometimes he wouldn't eat for days if I left him alone. Which is why I would always bring him food when I came by. Exactly as the AI Airi explained. While he ate, we talked about all kinds of things. Kimijima-san was what you would call an inventor. He said he created all kinds of things. I don't know if he was telling the truth, but he even said he might be able to build a time machine. Of course, he could be kidding, but I'm getting this weird sense of... I'm sure I'm just going crazy.
だったらこの島でクリスマスイブに雪を降らせることはできますか？
When I tried asking, I recall a troubled smile crossing Kimijima-san's face.
天候制御装置か。さすがにそれはちょっと難しいかもしれないな。
Those same words appeared on that tweep. A time machine sure seems like it would be more difficult. And yet stranger things have happened, Airi. When I said that to him, he simply laughed and said I might be right. I'd never left Tanegashima. When I told them that I wanted to try traveling around the world, Kimijima-san created a model that looked just like me, and then put it into IUO. The Airi that we've come to know. I could see myself walking down the streets of faraway foreign lands. Seeing myself in the world of IUO helped me forget reality. I was so happy, but it was just an illusion. Just a dream. In reality, I would never be cured of my illness. It was so painful. It also tormented my parents who had to care for me 24 hours a day. I felt so guilty that eventually I wanted to die. Yet despite all of this, we somehow just barely managed to function as a family. My parents still loved Airi. That's all that matters. But such a tightly drawn string can snap even at the slightest thing. A strange thing happened around October of that year. Dad stopped coming home. He disappeared from the island altogether. It didn't take long for everything else to collapse. Mother had to care for me alone, but she was never a particularly strong person. About a month after Dad disappeared, under too much pressure, Mother tried to strangle me. I could feel her intent to kill me. While I was scared, I also thought it would be okay to die if that freed Mother. But in the end, she released my hands from my neck and started crying and apologizing. I wished from the bottom of my heart. I wished that I would just disappear, to be gone from that place and free Mother from the curse that I was. And then I saw on the weekly weather forecast it would be bright and sunny on Christmas Eve. No snow. It was then that I gave up, convinced that miracles didn't exist. I headed straight for Kimijima-san's house and asked him to erase me from the world. I know it was wrong for him to ask him for that. But Kimijima-san was the only other person I could rely on. If he could invent anything, maybe he could make something that would grant my wish. Be careful what you wish for, Airi. When he heard that, Kimijima-san began to cry.
アイリー、君の願いを叶える方法を僕は知ってる。その方法を知ってるけど、でもそれはとても危険なことなんだ。それに、ある意味その方法に頼ることは逃避でもあるんだよ。
That's what she chose. At that moment in her life.
今生きているこの瞬間から逃げることになってしまうんだ。君はまだ若い。これから辛いことは続くかもしれないけど、楽しいことだっていっぱいあるに違いないんだ。僕がこれから提示する方法は辛さから逃れられるかもしれないけど、楽しみも失ってしまうかもしれないよ。それにね、何よりも残されたお母さんはきっと君がいなくなったらとても悲しむだろう。だからアイリー、そんな寂しいことを僕に言わないでほしい。
Even then, I just wanted to free Mother from the burden that I was. She sacrificed 14 years of her life to take care of my frail body. I wanted to finally give her relief. Shortly after our conversation, Kimijima-san led me to his basement. There was something resembling a coffin in that room.
君はこれから何十年も眠り続けることになるだろう。
Kimijima-san gently explains.
目が覚めたらそこはお母さんがいない世界だ。君の病気を治せることができるようになっている時代なんだよ。君は今の君の年齢のまま目覚めることになる。
That's very convenient.
もしかしたら僕ももういなくなってるかもしれない。
Since of course he was trying to expose the Committee of 300.
ずっと未来へと君は時をかけるんだ。眠っている間寂しいだろうから君に夢を見せてあげよう。イルオの中をまるで庭のように自由に歩き回れるようにしておくね。今はまだあまりイルオの世界は広くはないけど、
Not yet at least.
正式サービスが始まればきっと劇的に広がる。雪が降っているのを見るのは難しいかもしれないけど、それはいつか君が再び目覚めて病気が治った時のお楽しみにとっておけばいい。おやすみ、眠り姫。
Sleep well.
いい夢を。
おやすみなさい。ありがとう。
Thank you, Kimijima-san, for listening to the wish of someone like me. I hope Kimijima-san is still there when I wake up, even if he's become an old man. But even that miracle won't happen. And with that, my whole world was engulfed in pure white. I take one step back, then another. With each step, I kick some dust into the air. The surface of the device that Airi is pretending to rub her cheek against is also covered in dust. As for my candid thoughts following Airi's explanation, it's like something straight out of a manga. And yet this technology exists. Although that begs the question, just how, when and how did Kou Kimijima manage to achieve this?
いわゆるコールドスリープ装置と呼ばれているものだそうですよ。
And it seems to be working. Airi makes it sound like she's completely unrelated, which technically is true. I tried goggling it. Apparently said device chills the human body to a low temperature, slowing cell activity and preserving the body. By doing so, as long as the device is operational, one won't age for decades or even centuries. It's a method for extending the human lifespan far past its limits. You see it a lot in space movies. It's been said that the technology to make it real already exists, but nobody tried to make it happen. Why not? It's much harder than it sounds. Because there's no guarantee that the thawing process is safe. That makes sense. It also explains why nobody's attempted it. Among other things.
じゃあさ、この装置の中にいる本物の愛梨ちゃんは死んでないってことでいいわけ？
Indeed, just preserved for the time being. One might even say she's on life support.
はい。限りなく死んでいるのに近い状態ではありますけど、蘇生できるはずです。
Should be, huh? At a loss, I sit down on the pipe chair nearby.
まさか愛梨ちゃんにオリジナルがいたとはね。
Well, Kaito, there's a certain method that I could explain to you, but I won't. But that only leads me to reiterate my previous question. When and how did Kou Kimijima manage to get a hold of said technology?
愛梨ちゃんってさ、オリジナルの方がコールドスリープする前の経験は情報としてインプットされてるわけ？いや、最近の意味不明な言動はそれが表に出てたのかなって思ったんだけど。
Since her behavior is modeled on the real Airi, or saying things about bringing food to Kou Kimijima, for example, or Airi saying she saw herself.
そもそも君さ、オリジナルの愛梨ちゃんがコールドスリープに至るまでの出来事、どうしてそこまで詳しく知ってるわけ？
Very good question.
アイリはアイリですから。
That's not an answer. With that, I give up on her giving me any clarification. I doubt AR Airi came up with the story on her own. She's only a program. Even if she fabricated a story, that'd be the programmer's will, not AR Airi's will. Which means it's possible that Kou Kimijima programmed her like this. Airi Yukifune's sincere wish to be put into cold sleep, her feelings, he accurately traced them. And then he installed them into AR Airi, though I have no idea why he'd do that. Of course you don't, Kaito.
どうしたらいいのやら。
Was finding this machine a good thing or a bad thing? currently sitting in the basement of an abandoned house deep in the forest. With Kou Kimijima dead, I doubt anyone's been here in over 9 years. And in this very basement sleeps a young girl. Who knows when she'll wake up, but one thing is for sure. She's alive. She's definitely alive. So now I found her, what should I do? Fulfill Airi's wish, I suppose. I can't just leave a young lady sleeping here and run off. But I have no means of waking her up either, or of curing her of her disease. And after Kou Kimijima's death, this house probably got a new owner. Not in the state that it's currently in, I wouldn't think. Even if they never come to visit it, they're paying the bill. This house and cold sleep device belongs to them. I'd be causing problems if I just fiddled with this thing without their permission. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. And then there's still the matter of port number 7. That's why I'm at a loss.
そもそも愛梨ちゃんの話が本当だったとして、雪船愛梨の母親は今どこでどうしてるんだろう。
I don't think you'll like the answer to that question, Kaito. If I were Yukifune entered cold sleep without telling her mother, she'd be treated as a missing person. Did her mother not go to the police? Perhaps she didn't. If she did, Kou Kimijima would have been the first person that came up as a suspect. And then they would have found this room. The fact that they didn't should speak volumes. Not that I have the slightest clue as to whether putting someone into cold sleep is a crime or not. While Airi Yukifune entered by her own will, she's a minor. She doesn't have the ability to consent legally. That put Kou Kimijima in a bad place. And if her mother agreed to continue the cold sleep, Airi would have moved. She'd be at a proper medical facility. Instead, she's been left in the basement of this abandoned house for 9 years. Better here than in the clutches of the Committee of 300, Kaito, is all I can say. Without any proper maintenance, and yet this device is still in good condition.
マスターは雪船ミキエにありのままの事実を伝えましたよ。
So Airi's mother is called Miki.
アイリも一緒に行ったので間違いないです。
It was all to relieve Miki of the burden of caring for
あ
Airi.
りのまま。
And her mother agreed. If she didn't, she wouldn't have left her daughter on ice for 9 years.
その母親は今どこに。
わかりません。
Indeed.
わからないだって。
マスターが事実を伝えてからおよそ5ヶ月後に島を出たところまでは把握してるんですよ。
She is no longer on Tanegashima.
でもその後の足取りは追っていないので。
娘を置いて島を出た。
That she did, Kaito. That she did. After being freed from her daughter, did she decide to run away like the dad? I don't want to think of it this way, but the same lady did try to choke her own daughter to death. With my meager imagination, I can't even find a reason why she'd leave the island and not come back even once.
この家の現在の所有者は。
そういう難しいことはアイリには聞かないでほしいです。
In other words, Airi doesn't know or doesn't want to tell us.
ゲジネなら知ってると思います。
She might, but that's if we can access her. I flicked my finger against her forehead in response to the absurd suggestion, considering the situation.
いたた。
Yeah, still no go. Still no go.
やっぱりゲジネには変わらないじゃないか。
This bug is bad news. I can't even ask the questions I want to ask.
オリジナルアイリの不治の病って何だったの？
It's been 9 years since she entered cold sleep, so it's possible we might have a treatment for it now. It's still in the realm of only possibilities, Kaito. Whoa. Either Airi said something very inappropriate there, or there is a deliberate reason that there is something preventing Airi from giving the name of this supposedly incurable disease. Somehow the name of the illness itself is being blocked. Maybe out of consideration for the trauma it caused. Meh, it's not like my knowing its name would fix things. I mean, it would help, but yeah. Without proper diagnosis, there's no way to know whether or not it can even be cured. Or to get good medication for her. But at any rate, I think the time has come to end this episode of Let's Play Robotics Notes Elite, and when we return, adventurers, need to plan out just what our next move is. As always, until next we meet,